So I've had the Pixel 8 Pro for about a week, and an early conclusion is it is the best Pixel that I've ever had. Now, I personally believe that some of the changes that they made with Pixel represents a paradigm shift at Google. Let's discuss why on the breakdown. Google established their HDR Plus pipeline years ago, and I just felt like when Pixel 2 arrived, having the HDR Plus, Pixel Visual Core, so there was a lot of speed behind some of the processing that you get on Pixel 2 and other modes that came to Pixel 2. And also Pixel 2 represented eSIM functionality as well. But the reason why I believe the paradigm shift is happening with Google is in this TikTok era, this gets so many things right that it's kind of scary. And this is without video boost available. So you have pro mode. So people that want to get a little more serious. So let's say, for instance, I have these long exposures, but I would want more control over the shutter, and I can go into pro mode and get a longer exposure. And then, like I said, the thing with Google that they've done now is simply giving this to someone else to take a photo. They're going to get a great photo every time. The only thing that they have to worry about are they frame right, but this is going to snap the right picture. And in December, when the feature drop happens, they're going to be able to do the same with video. And I thought video up until this point was really good as well. We've seen all the AI, but in the past, the way I felt Night Sight worked was if I saw a scene, I would see something slightly different. And it would always typically be a scene that was a little bit brighter than what I captured. And I'm not seeing that here. Like, I leave Night Sight on for everything. Even in low light scenarios with their sun, Night Sight never comes off. Again, this is done all with processing. There's no more Pixel Visual Core co-processor, and rumors are that in the future they're going to be able to bring some of that back, which will be fantastic, because the one limitation that you will get with a Pixel as compared to the competing brands from Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo is their night modes will be applied quicker because a lot of them have supporting co-processors in their setups. Having said that, Night Sight has really, in my opinion, taken this phone to the next level. And like literally, I almost did not try Night Sight because I know how it works in the past, but I'm like, hey, I've got to put my reviewer's hat on and go about it. So I'm going to show you a couple of photos that I got at night. Turned off HDR on the video just because I wanted to see what video looked like without HDR, but I had it on all the photos. And one thing I always want to point out too, so if Google is not your cup of tea, the way they do point and shoot and the way they do HDR, I actually think their HDR is phenomenal, and I think it's much better now on the Pixel 8 series. But I understand when someone comes to me and is like, well, I prefer the look that Xiaomi gets me. I prefer the look that Vivo gets me or Oppo gets me. Some of them get the raw files and they go right into Lightroom. They go straight into Lightroom and they do their own edit. A lot of times you'll hear reviewers say that there's a color shift difference between cameras, and there still is it's very small between these. And one of the things that companies like Xiaomi have implemented is the only difference is the main sensor, but the other three are all the same sensor, so it's very easy to match the exact same. I didn't see much color shift. I think they're very well matched, and this is even at nighttime. I wasn't seeing the color shift that I was expecting to see. So that was another positive. And also one of the things about the selfie cam that I really appreciate, and I'll switch to that footage, is the autofocus. Autofocus, autofocus, autofocus. I think selfie cameras are trash. I think they're way too small, and I have to say, I have to give it up to the iPhone and the Pixel. I think you can take really good footage that integrates nicely with your expensive cameras. Now, obviously, it's not going to replace those, but at least gives you something where you can actually see yourself in a pinch. Like if you're just somewhere you don't have time to frame up, you can just look at the viewfinder and go. I always recommend using the rear camera, but in a pinch, it's going to work, and it's going to work well. Another thing to point out is I did find that, so when Pixel introduced a speech enhancement for video, it didn't really work well for me. In the environments that I'm normally in, it's not as well treated as it probably should be, right? But I have to say, audio eraser is clutch. The front-facing camera or selfie camera, right?
Hey everyone, this is an example of a front-facing camera or selfie camera.
A few years ago, I would say the Pixel, as far as US brands, had the best stabilization. Now, the other brands have surpassed it. Now, at that time, I didn't feel like you needed to use a gimbal for the iPhone and the Pixel, even when I rated it higher. And I still think if you are diligent about how you walk, and I'll just show you this vlog, and I wasn't too diligent, I think with a standard stabilization, I'm fine with that. I don't think I'm providing any super shaky footage that's going to turn people away. And also, I can always turn on stabilization inside of edit. I might have to crop in just a little bit, and if I needed more, you can go to the action mode. I'm not typically going to be running with my phone. I'd probably get a GoPro for that, but that works. Oh, one thing I will point out though about Pro mode, there's gonna need to be an update right now. Typically on my other devices, when I am in Pro mode, if I select ISO, let's say, and you see how it's changing the sensitivity to light, right? So I say, well, maybe I'll put it right here. And if I go to shutter, and you'll still see some stuff happen with light, and that got kind of confusing to people when I showed it before. I wasn't really trying to do a class on this, but let's say for instance I go up here, I'll put the ISO down further, and I will change the shutter speed. So let's go to 1/3. So look what happens. See that? Does everybody see that? So you can see my hand, and look how slow it is. I can actually exaggerate it more. Let's go up. Might be too hard to see, but you can see it's not as smooth, right? There's like a lag there. But as I get to closer to like, so this is like 30 frames per second video. I have a 1/60, so I'm able to capture much better, right? And you can look at the viewfinder, right? So my settings match that. Right now on the Pixel, when you go to kind of the extremes, what will happen is it's like showing you this is the best possible photo at this point. So it would show this as lighter, and then you take the photo and you're like, what happened here? So not everybody has seen that because they haven't been at those extremes, but that's something that I'll point out. Otherwise, Pro mode is outstanding, but this will have to be fixed in an update. They've got people on their team that use Pro mode. They're not gonna be able to use it in its fullest like that, because that's too much for you to remember. Like, well, wait a second, based on that setting, it should be twice as dark as here, so I know that in the photo. No, the way you normally line up is by looking at what's here, especially like if you're looking at the cloud and the sky, you'll be able to do that with ease. I wanted to bring this to you, and I'll have to say that I'm, again, very excited with this. I am off now to start comparing these to the Xiaomis, the Vivos, and the Oppos of the world, and I'm truly excited about that. So different philosophies, hardware versus a lot of software going at each other, but I think Pixel is up for the challenge. So make sure you stay tuned for more videos on the Pixel. And if you have any questions, as always, put it down in the comment section. I'll be sure to reply. And as we always say, with that, we're out.